Okay, here we go. Luxury badge versus luxury features. Is the Mazda CX-90 a better option compared to the Lincoln Aviator, which costs more money? Well, that's what we're gonna find out today. Let's roll! Now back to the video. Let's start with the exterior differences and how do they look. The first thing is that when you look at the CX-90, it kind of reminds me of the Wise Owl, like the grille, the lights, the mirrors on the side look like the ears. Then moving on to the side profile, they've added some little tweaks in here to make it even more interesting. Like for example, we have the chrome finish bar at the bottom. There is the inline badge on the side here, although that's non-functional, it's just there for design. And then we've got 21-inch wheels with this package. Not a biggest fan of these wheels, but that can be fixed. Next thing you notice is the rear quarter panel. So if you look carefully onto this side, it waves down. So it's got a nice shape all the way down, and then it's pretty small. I think they could have extended a little bit further to give it more light to the third row. And then we've got the rails at the top. Now, this is where I don't like this SUV, this portion over here. It looks like a baby with a hanging diaper. That's the way I look at this thing. It's just, I've never been a fan of this rear design. Like this special over here should have been extended a little bit further. Maybe, I don't know, there's just, this portion doesn't really make any sense. And then we move on to the back side. We've got some interesting things in here too, like the chrome finish at the bottom for the bumper. We have the badge onto this side. Now, moving on to the Lincoln Aviator. Now, this one, it's an interesting one because it's not the new generation. It's essentially the same Lincoln Aviator they've been using for a while, except facelift. So we've got new headlights, we've got slightly new grille as well, but everything else remains kind of like the same. And compared to the Lincoln Nautilus, for example, this doesn't have that bar that goes all the way across and like the wings up and wing down design they have, but they've included some wings here. If you look carefully, the headlights itself. But what I love about this vehicle is the side profile, the stance, because it has that air ride, it sits low and it looks really nice. We've got 22-inch wheels, like the turbine design, which I really like as well. And then we've got the Aviator badge on the side. And of course, because it is a Ford-based vehicle, it has this option on the driver's side where you can lock the vehicle by pressing the code and throw the key inside and walk away. So if you're going to the beach or if you're going somewhere that you don't want to carry the key, put the code and just walk away. But as I said previously, one thing I noticed is like the door, the heaviness of this vehicle, it's just right here. You can feel that. So there's, I don't know, maybe it feels a bit premium, luxurious. That's how a vehicle should feel. Maybe people will say, well, it should be lighter, it's easier. I find it just, it's a nice design. And then moving on to the rear side, which I'm a big fan of, because the Lincoln Aviator has this large window on the third row, which gives you amazing visibility, especially for the trunk area, which I'm a big fan of. And then moving on to the rear side is where we have this nice flush design, very luxurious. And one thing you notice, there's no actual wiper in here, which that's something to point out compared to the Mazda CX-90. And then we've got the Lincoln badge all the way across. But one thing you notice in here, there's no Aviator badge, unlike the Mazda that says CX-90. Now let's talk about cargo space, because it's important. These are SUVs, that's why we buy large vehicles, for cargo space. First thing you need to know is that the Lincoln Aviator offers about 18.4 cubic feet of space. Meanwhile, the Mazda offers about 14.9. But you also get more space in terms of underneath here with the Lincoln Aviator. On top of that, you got a few extra features with the Aviator. You have buttons onto the right side, which you can fold the third row automatically. You have a couple of options. You can do it individually, or you can press one button to fold them all together. Now, you're probably wondering, do I really need that kind of feature? Well, let's just think that you have a child in here and you don't have time to like fold it, or you're carrying a child and all you have to do, or a bag, you press the button and then that's it, it's done. And then if you want to put it back, you press it again and then they fold back. This is the part of my job I don't usually like, but let's do it. Third row. Get into the third row from the Lincoln Aviator. It is kind of like powered. And then, I think I ripped my shoes, maybe, I don't know. And then you do like that. And here we go. It's not the most spacious place I've been to, but it seems okay. I think shorter people than I would have a better time in here. It has good headroom, even though I have my hat in here. There's some space here for your phone, cup holder, 2 USB-C ports, large window. Pretty good. I'm gonna get out, and it's pretty tight overall, but it's okay. Let's go to the Mazda. Into the Mazda. The first thing you notice, the Mazda has a 90-degree door opening, which is great for babies or car seats or lots of easy ways to get into the second row. But to get into the third row, you have a manual lever at the top. You push that forward, and then you get yourself into the third row of the Mazda, which is slightly more spacious in this one. Maybe that explains why it has less cargo space. We've got 2 cup holders in here, 1 USB-C port, small window. It's barely a window, to be honest, on this one. Good headroom. There's air vents onto the side here for your legs, especially like a day like today, which is pretty hot. The seats are comfortable. It's pretty good. But I still wouldn't enjoy being a passenger in the third row. To get out, you feel like you get a little bit more of the room here compared to the Lincoln. That's it. Okay, into the second row. Now, the Mazda and the Lincoln have captain chairs, which means you get some extra features in here and less space overall. First thing you notice when you jump in, this thing feels very premium, very luxurious inside. The leather feels great. I believe this one has the Savannah leather, which is apparently the same leather used in very expensive purses, bags, wallets, that kind of leather. Meanwhile, the leather in the Mazda is the Napa one, which is what you see in most vehicles, not high luxury vehicles. So there's apparently a difference in terms of quality, like this should be a little bit better, and longevity and so on. But let's talk about tech features. So the Lincoln Aviator in the second row has a bit more of that premium or luxury experience. Like for example, you get a screen in the center, which is with different options, your climate, air quality, heated and cooled seats in the second row. There's this massive armrest in the center, which offers your cup holders more space here for, let's say, for your phone. And you can open and close automatically the sunshades with these 2 buttons located into the center. There's extra space in here that you can close it if you have anything that you don't want to hold into. You can just leave it right there. In terms of space overall, it's pretty comfortable. Now the seat itself, it is not powered, so you have to manually adjust. Not so luxurious in that sense. There's a sunshade onto the side. Nice speakers, audio system. This is powered by Revel, which is one of the best audio systems out there. I believe you get about 28 speakers in this vehicle, which is pretty insane. Very high premium audio system. Space-wise, comfortable, lots of leg room, headroom. The seats are superb in this vehicle, both the front and the second one. They're very comfortable. In terms of connectivity, you've got USB-C ports at the end over here, which you can charge your phone, 2 of those, and 110 volts. And that's about it. Pretty comfortable. Really nice in the second row. Jump in the Mazda. Okay, into the Mazda. First thing you notice when you jump into the Mazda is this brown leather interior, which is Napa leather in this case, with some suede in the center, which is quite nice, but also they're very chunky. The seats are super chunky. They're not as well refined as the one in the Lincoln. Maybe it's just me being picky on some things. You've got a sunshade on this side, which I should use because today it is hot and it is bright. In terms of tech features, well, we've got the screen in the center. It is not touchscreen like the one in Lincoln. It's not as nice, but this is your standard one with buttons, which some people may enjoy that. You've got heated seats and ventilated seats in the back. You've got 2 USB-C ports. There is a cup holder in here. There is some space onto the side for the center armrest. But compared to the Lincoln Aviator, you don't get arms extended for the seats. You actually get the armrest, so you have to share with this person onto the sides. Next thing is that you do have a little space here to put your phone like that, or maybe if you're not using the cup holder. There's a panoramic roof all the way across. You can't access it from the back. You have to ask the driver, which is a lot of work to do. Other than that, you've got some space, leg room, headroom is pretty okay. I feel like more headroom in the Lincoln overall compares to this, but you get more leg room overall in the Mazda. Now let's jump into the front, and let's start first with the Lincoln. I feel like every time I get into the Lincoln, I feel like I'm in a theater or something, like I'm listening to some classic music or watching a classical show, like something like that. It's a different experience with this vehicle. The sounds are different. It's all about the experience in the Lincoln. Now, when you jump inside, the first thing you're going to notice is not the same as the new Navigator or the Lincoln Nautilus, because the Aviator hasn't received the latest platform upgrades like the other vehicles. First thing, I'm going to put my phone to charge wirelessly, and then we move on to the main screen. So we got the infotainment display, which this is the latest design. This is Android based, so you've got a lot of features, a lot of apps that you can download. There's also a fireplace in case if you go somewhere camping, or I don't know, you can use it for different reasons. But then you've got like over-the-air software update, there's games here, there's a browser. The Mazda offers a really nice interior, except I'm not a big fan of this. This thing, it's going to be very hard to keep clean. Maybe leather, just leather would be perfect. Personal preference. The steering wheel is nice. The entire experience here feels very premium. But one thing you notice in the Mazda, there's a lot more buttons compared to the Lincoln. But you still get screens. Like we have a digital screen for the cluster. We have a screen for the infotainment display, which is not touch screen. But there is a heads-up display in there. And then the steering wheel, it's well designed. The leather is quite nice. And then in the center over here, you've got your shift knob, your driving modes, there's some buttons, but you can control the actual screen through the control unit in the center, which means you won't leave as many fingerprints. One thing I like about the Mazda that I noticed is this button is centered for the hazard light, so you literally go like that. You don't have to look around, it's right there, which is nice and handy. And then underneath here, we've got all these buttons for heated seats, ventilated seats, the climate unit. You can control the climate unit in the back. But one thing I don't like about the Mazda is wireless charging pad, because for my phone, the only way that I can charge is I have to place it in this position the entire time, because if I switch it the other way, it will not charge. And because my phone is so large, it tends to like slide, so it always disconnects. In the Lincoln, it's got a nice padding and it kind of sticks to it, so it holds the phone and it's always charging no matter the speed bumps, no matter the speed. This one, it tends to slide because this is not very sticky as a pad, which I think they should fix that down the road. I get it what they're trying to do to make it as small and not obstructive and easy to just slide your phone in, but I think a padding and larger space would be nicer. I love their shift knob, because big fan of shift knobs. I know I said I've gotten used to the buttons, but this one is the easiest way to put into drive. Go into there and then into drive and park on that side. We've got cup holders in there, some buttons, and there's a split armrest in here with two USB-C ports inside. And moving on to this side over here, the driver's side, we've got the power steering column, which is quite nice, similar to the Lincoln Aviator. There's memory seats, 2 memory seats for the driver, nothing for the passenger. The seats are pretty standard. You can adjust the top part, the bottom part. They're not as advanced as the Lincoln. The audio system in this case is powered by Bose, and I believe you get about 12 speakers to 14 speakers depending on the trim, which is still pretty good. The Bose audio system, it's pretty nice, but the level that you get from the Revel, it's not as advanced, or I would say not equally as good. They're just very different in the amount of speakers, the bass, the subwoofer, all that. It's something you don't get with the Mazda. Okay, let's talk about how these two drive, and we'll start first with the Mazda. That inline 6 engine is quite impressive. In some ways, it reminds me of the B58. Not as advanced, of course. It won't make the same horsepower. It's not going to take the same beating. It doesn't have the same internals. but it is in many ways a really great engine. And I think one of the best things that I loved when I initially drove this thing was the engine. They've done a great job with the power delivery. Now, in terms of the drive, what you have in here for the Mazda is your standard suspension system with calibrated shocks, but don't expect a plush ride. This is very firm in some ways compared to other SUVs. It is designed with the drivers in mind. The steering is as direct as you could hope for an SUV of this size. One thing that you feel with this car when you drive it is how light it feels overall compared to other SUVs, even though it is a 3-row. And I believe that's why Mazda used the CX-90 body to make the CX-90. The ride, it's not punishing, it's comfortable, but it is firmer overall. You're gonna feel that. The power delivery is there. Right now I'm in sport mode. You put your foot down. The engine takes some time to wake up, but once it does, it really pulls hard. It feels like the top power is at a higher RPM and higher speed. At low speed, it struggles a little bit. Like for example, if I slow down right now, even the transmission shifts better like past the 3rd gear. You put your foot down, there is a slight delay overall, but it's not this car. This car is not made for power delivery. It's not made to be fast. That doesn't mean that we're not going to drag race it today. The suspension is calibrated in a way that the shocks keeps jumping you up. It doesn't have that soft and plushy design in terms of the shock itself. Like it's pushing hard up. And I think it's designed that way, and there's nothing you can do about it unless you can get an air ride yourself, which I'm sure you can. But then air suspension system costs money in the long run. This is just cheaper to maintain, cheaper option as well. The Lincoln, it takes off like a freaking airplane. This thing just launches like a space shuttle, actually. Like he's got a really powerful rear bias mostly as well, but it just takes off. Like you can feel the front end going up in the air. Like it's such an experience. But then you also notice the fact that this thing, it's got a very smooth ride. And right now I have it in Excite mode, which it's supposed to be stiffer, but it's actually not. And it does a great job to avoid making it stiff. And the reason is simply because this can actually detect imperfections on the road and fix the ride based on that. Like even right now, in sport mode, around here, in the Mazda, I would be jumping up and down. In this one, let's put it in comfort mode. Probably has a different name, normal mode. And the suspension just gets plushy and soft and smooth. But it's not like a boat ride. And that's the thing that I noticed with this beauty. It doesn't have that boat ride, which I don't like. It's smooth, it's soft. There's a bit of a body roll in this vehicle because of the suspension system. And you can feel it when you go around the corner doing that. And the reason I'm going around here is because I'm trying to avoid traffic, so I don't have to go in normal roads and worry about idiots. In here is just me. I can test the vehicle the way I want it to figure out how they compare. It's the best place to do a comparison besides the drag race. The next thing we want to find out is drag race. Which one is the fastest out of the two? But before that, let's talk about the specs. First up, we have the Lincoln Aviator, which under the hood with this trim uses a 3-liter V6 EcoBoost twin turbocharged engine, making 400 brake horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. It is equipped with a 10-speed automatic transmission. It's all-wheel drive, and because of this trim, this thing weighs about 5,100 pounds, which is not light. But then we have the Mazda CX-90, which does offer a plug-in hybrid with a different engine, but this one uses a 3.3-liter inline-6 turbocharged mild hybrid, and it makes 340 brake horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, equipped with an 8-speed automatic transmission. It is all-wheel drive, and I know what you're going to say, but Sam, the Mazda doesn't make the same horsepower. Seems like unfair. Well, the thing is that the Mazda weighs about 4,900 pounds, which is lighter than the Lincoln Aviator. So, what's left? Drag race. Let's roll. If you're looking to buy either or, there is an easy way to find a new vehicle. You can use Carsnap. Carsnap is based on artificial intelligence. All you have to do is take a picture of either or vehicle, or you can also search for it, and it will find you all the listings around your area, the specs, and YouTube reviews, all in one app. So you don't have to look around trying to figure out what engine is this or what trim or any of that, or even YouTube reviews. Everything is in one app. Download it, it's for free, available on iOS devices and Android. 3, 2, 1, go! Come on, Mazda, come on! See, he takes off really fast, but like midway, I can feel it. I can actually feel it that I'm catching up to him. And I'm catching up, I'm catching up, I'm catching up. If I have a longer runway, I can catch up to him so much easier than I would on a quarter mile, because I can feel the car. But that one, the Lincoln Aviator's got that instant power delivery, twin turbo, that this doesn't have, unfortunately. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, Mazda. Come on, come on, come on. He's not pulling away from me. He is going. What? No, no, what? Oh! You're kidding me. Wow. So, which one is the best out of these two? The Lincoln Aviator or the Mazda CX-90? Now, the difference in price is about $15,000 in Canada, depending what you want. But there's also benefits of having the Lincoln, because the Lincoln offers some perks, like you get rewards every time you buy a Lincoln. You get 365 days a year of full service, and they will pick up the car from your house. They'll drop it back to you if it needs servicing. They'll give you a rental up to $1,000 claim, lodging, which the Mazda does too. But then you get the experience that you get with the Lincoln for a long run, getting different vehicles, having a very easy option of switching between models. But it's also that name brand that the Lincoln represents that the Mazda doesn't, unfortunately. Mazda has always been between regular cars to premium and luxury. So it's kind of like that middle ground compared to the Lincoln, which when we think about Lincoln, we think about luxury. Yes, it shares some platforms with Ford, but the interior, the leather, the experience, the drive, the quiet rides, all that is what you pay for when it comes to extra pricing. So whether in the US or Canada, you're going to pay more for the Lincoln. The fact that this was faster, although the Mazda did pretty well on a road race, this might be the better option. I personally enjoy this. It's where I don't really like this car is mostly the sitting position. But overall, the Mazda does a great job with that. But then this one, just the ride is smooth, plushy, and comfortable. Like, I could be a driver on this thing for a full 5-6 hours, no problem. Like, the ride is amazing. The massage seats, the seats are comfortable overall. You just can't beat the value that this car offers compared to the Mazda.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
And I also hate this button on the steering wheel, so if you're a Lincoln engineer, please get rid of this button.
It would help to know how satisfied
Okay.
you are with my response.
I pressed that by accident. Nobody needs to have this here. Like, please get rid of it on the next update. I don't like that.